What's up, guys? It is your girl V with Reality Recap here for a Tea Talk sesh with my fave lawyer. And honey, she came to this camera and put me on the floor with this with this grind down
What?
thing, y'all. I can't even.
What?
I'm still wiping tears for when she came on the screen, but it is my favorite attorney. I always tell y'all if I go down for anything, including murder, I'm calling Attorney Symone Redwine. You hear me?
Please do. Please do. I would be so honored. I would be so honored. And not only that, we're gonna frame someone else. Like if you murder your husband, we'll just frame him.
Yeah. I know that's right. But yes, she is here in the 613 wig, honey. 613 blonde with her cup of when I tell y'all, I just can't tell y'all how hard I hollered when she sat down at that camera with this wig on.
Y'all, it's the last day you're gonna see the 613 for quite a while. We're going away for, up to a year now.
Yeah, and I just couldn't believe, and I said, "Oh my good," I didn't expect them to take her at court. I thought they were gonna say, "All right, come back in 3 weeks." And I said to my
What?
husband, "I hope she didn't glue that thing down." And I hope, because usually, the celebrities get a chance to do something cute with their natural hair, and she didn't get a
I
chance to
hope
do
she had the good
nothing,
sense to
y'all.
have those gel cornrows, braided back real nice and cute so that she don't have to get them redone by Big Shirley anytime soon. I hope that they prepped her for that because it's always a risk. But I absolutely, when I heard they informed her she can appeal in 30 days and motion for reconsideration, I was like, well, so, okay, are they going to give her 30 days to report or 90 days? No, they
Right.
said, clank, clank.
Right then and there. So, in case you haven't realized it, we are talking about the Grand Dame sentencing that happened today, earlier this morning, from her DUI, where she was found guilty back in
Oh, I got to shift.
December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said shift the wig, honey. You
Hit
got
the
to
wig.
shift
That's
it.
right.
You got to shift it. You got to pull it back a little bit. How she said, hold it, hold it, hold it.
Hold her. There we go.
I cannot. Oh my goodness. They're asking, is this the Grand Dame's attorney? No, it's not, but she should have been. This is Attorney Symone Redwine from Girl Is That Legal podcast.
Thank
She
you.
should have hired her. Maybe she wouldn't be in jail right now,
Child.
child.
I have a feeling that Miss Karen just was not going to listen to nobody because for the life of me, I could not understand why she had not gone to rehab prior to trial.
Right.
Like you're supposed to go from the drunk tank straight to rehab, do not pass go. Because when you punish yourself, it allows the court to give you a little bit of mercy. And you already had 3 of these bad boys. So you had a lot of mercy. Girl,
So
child.
that's one of my first questions for you. When we last got together when she was found guilty, I was under the impression and was reading that she had 2 prior convictions. And then over the weekend, there was an article posted by the Washington Post where the prosecutor cited 3 prior convictions. So where was this third one? Was it so long ago that it wasn't showing up? But where was it? And can you tell us a little bit about each one of those prior convictions?
So I don't have a lot of details on them other than they were all probated sentences. It's something called a PBR, and I'll see it. Not only were they probated, but it was not counted as an offense. In other words, charges were dismissed. I believe she didn't even have to expunge it. So that might have been part of it. So in other words, it was like receiving an arrest and then
Mhm.
the case went away. Well, under Maryland law, she really could have been charged with a felony because this is the 4th time instead of
Wow.
misdemeanor. But because the other ones were the PBJs, basically, they were the types of dismissals where they're not considered convictions because it's effectively a form of a lightweight of probation. They couldn't be counted all against her. And the last one was more than 10 years apart. So
Okay.
if you have multiples within 10 years, that's when they can charge you with a felony. And so I think we didn't see all of them as they started in 2006, number one.
Right.
And that they were basically dismissed after she was given a slap on the wrist and had to perform small things like she may have had to take an AA class and or a drug awareness class or agree to certain conditions. but they were completely dismissed and were not considered offenses.
Right. And Monet is asking on Instagram. She did go to rehab, Monet. She did go, but she didn't go right after her arrest. It wasn't till
Right.
after she took this to trial, she was found guilty, that she finally went to rehab. And that was also a big part of it, right? The prosecutor felt like the rehab that she went to, it was quote unquote resort like. It was like she just took a vacation instead of actually focusing on rehabilitating. So, yeah, it was after that point. But also, can you just break down the sentencing today? Because I saw your video, which was a great breakdown as always, and you also mentioned fines. So what's entailed with everything with her sentencing today, other than, the jail time that everyone's heard about?
Okay. So Karen Huger was we know that she was sentenced to the I'm pulling it up too. We know she was given a 2-year probated sentence. So what that means, it was a 2-year sentence, 1 year probated. What that means is she's going to serve 1 year. She'll be out the next year, but if she cuts up at all, she could have to go back and do the full 2 years. Cuts up meaning break any rules, such and such. And then she still has 5 years of probation on top of the 2 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And let me tell you, DUI probation is different. It's real different than other stuff. You can't drink the whole time on DUI probation. So that'll be 5 years of no drinking, no prescriptions that they have not approved. She claimed that part of this was prescription drugs as well.
Antidepressants, right?
Yeah, antidepressants. That's fine, but whatever it is, can't be no Schedule 3s unless you have the proper doctor's paperwork in place, right? I did not see that she had any fines. However, more than likely she did, and or at least restitution. The restitution would be anything that she damaged, she had to fix.
I thought I said something about $2,900 in fines. I wasn't sure.
Okay, it might be. I'm not gonna correct you there, because that usually you always have some fine attached. Because here, what made this a even bigger deal, more than just the 3 priors, was that she wrapped herself around a tree. Now, in Texas, the definition of an accident involving injury includes to yourself. So it doesn't have to involve someone else. If you yourself have been injured. Now, in this instance, I don't think she didn't go away. I don't think she went away in the ambulance.
No, she didn't.
She rejected any help. So that was probably smart, because by her not being injured, excuse me, these synthetic flakes are just all in my how do they do this?
I'll tell you, just like Karen, when she was shifting that wig. So hold it now. Hold it.
And it's itching me. I see why she was struggling to get her words out. I can't think straight in this shit. I do feel like Thomas Jefferson's concubine. But back to the topic. Yes, but I do think her being in that dangerous accident, and although she only hurt herself, because she didn't need medical treatment, they weren't able to elevate it to a felony. But if she had said, yeah, I'll go in that ambulance, or even if they had looked at her and said, you're bleeding, you're going, felony.
Wow.
Felony.
Wow. I also saw that Ray testified in court today. Shout out to WeGo Podcast. She was there, boots on the ground, texting me, giving me up-to-date information. So I want to go back to some of her threads today, because she was giving second-by-second information. And she said that Ray testified today, and he felt like, he said that the children's feelings was hurt, and I was saying that ain't really gonna help, because they grown children.
Let me tell you, they said some of the most superficial, failure to read the room ish that I feel like you could have said in court today, because it's all about how we feel. Like, what about the community and how you could have hurt others? Like, oh, well, so your mama's a drunk, you should feel bad. Like, it'd be one thing that said, we're embarrassed, this is not the mother that we know, but yeah, it hurt my feelings. Okay, well, your mama could have hurt a human.
Right. So yeah, Ray testified today, and that's what he was saying, and that he also was aware of all of the things that Karen had been doing. So the rehab that she went to, then she also signed up for like a breathalyzer program. And it said something about the results of this breathalyzer could go to whoever she chose for it to go to. Can you tell me, like, what was that about?
All right, so they have those programs. So sometimes so generally when you have this kind of DOI, you're supposed to take your butt straight to rehab. And then if you voluntarily put yourself under these conditions prior to trial, these things that you unilaterally do are viewed as seeing remorse, as trying to proactively address your issue, etc. And if you put those on your car, what it'll do is you can't drive unless you pass the breathalyzer. So most of the time those are court ordered, but I guess this was a good faith gesture because her goal, she was asking for a 3-year suspended sentence. My question is, why you didn't do that right after you got out?
Why did we take this to trial? Is my question that I
I'll be
still
very clear.
don't understand. Why did she take this to trial? Now, she did say in court today when she spoke that she was arrogant in the situation and she thought that she could control the alcohol. But for the life of me, I don't understand why this went to trial, even with her and her lawyer seeing this dash camera footage and still taking it to trial. I don't
Very simple.
understand.
Very simple. The offer on the table was 60 days in jail. Women like Karen will not agree to go to jail proactively. They just won't. They are above that. Not to mention, when she was describing it on the show and elsewise, she really had the audacity to say, I'm going to be vindicated and the truth will come out. We saw that truth. If she would have took the 60 days, she probably would have done either half or a third of that, depending on the overcrowding of the local county jail. And sometimes, because I got a drunk uncle, you can coordinate to have like weekend jail. Literally, weekend jail. I actually think that'd be a great storyline. You go into weekend jail and then you come back on the weekdays and you film.
I watch that.
I would too. I would too. But the Grand Dame was never going to agree to go to prison with the commoners. Oh,
No. And she said that in the dash footage camera. And that's what I kept saying to myself. I'm shocked about today. And then I'm not shocked because I felt like she was going to get jail time. I didn't think it was going to be this much. But in that dash footage, she was saying to the police officer that was driving, this isn't going to touch me. Like, I'm untouchable. And the judge today, when reading the sentencing, the judge talked about that footage, like pages the judge was going through and talking about her being blatant and arrogant, honestly.
arrogant. And when you're drunk, arrogant, that means you're arrogant because the drunk is who you are.
Drunk man don't tell no tales.
Right. That drunk is that's your intuition. That is not your intuition, correction. Those are your secret thoughts. Those are the thoughts you're supposed to keep in your head and not spit out loud, including that, he was white and he was poor. And he probably was. I believe you. He was probably white. And as a police officer, they're middle class. So there's that. But nobody needed Karen to reveal that in her drunken state, as we all know. Jeez Louise. But yeah, I think that's the first question people have is why she didn't take 60 days, because she's not like my drunk uncle. My drunk uncle will be like, 60 days, praise the Lord, I'll take it.
So what was Karen's lawyer? Like, what was their angle today? What were they going for? Because they were saying like the resort-like rehab she went to was needed for her to have an incentive to go to rehab. And I'm saying, you need an incentive to go. It's either that or jail. You need an incentive, and this is your 4th conviction.
Right. I felt that was so tone deaf. So as a person who's been to rehab before, I went to, what was it called? It was called River Oaks. Okay. And I've been to 2. I went to the first one. I got in a fight my first week because it is kind of like jail, but that's another story for another day. I went to one for Adderall. Who knew you can go for ADD medication? And I went for ADD medication. And then I went to one in Oxnard, Mississippi, and it was horrible. So then I transferred. I didn't ask. I was like, I'm out of here, mother. I transferred to one in Florida. I was livid that it didn't have a pool, but then I also remembered at the time I was poor and that my mom was paying cash pay. And so I was going to take what I could get. But it had equine therapy. It had these different things. Well, if I were him, if you're going to take her to a palatial one, I was saying, instead of saying, well, you have to incentive, what her lawyer was saying is, well, she went to a nice one because you've got to incentivize a person to go. The hell you do. If you have already been convicted, the incentive should be remorse, demonstration of remorse to the court. The incentive should be because I have a problem. When you tell the judge, well, it needed to be nice to incentivize her to go, what the judge hears is she doesn't think she has a problem. Cool. You don't think you have a problem? I'm about to show you what your problem is. Also, I was saying, I would have went with the angle of, insurance now with Obamacare. It pays for it covers rehab. Many people don't know that. And it has to cover rehab. That cannot be an excluded service. Therefore, I would have said, well, this is what our insurance covers. That sounds way better than, well,
an incentive.
You needed an incentive. The incentive was, bitch, you about to go to jail.
Yeah.
You're about to go to jail. And think of it this way. If she had gone before trial, and let's say she did 60 days, and went to a really nice one, no one would care she went to a really nice one if she had done 60 days right after. So you do like 60 days, and then you can do what's called sober living, which is you can live literally in a mansion with other ladies who are going through it, and you work them through your grief and all your stuff. They have people come to the house. You do have chefs. You have a pool. It's very private. No one would need to know her business. If she had done all that, I believe she could have even potentially gotten credit for that, because and therefore you'd be serving it at the rehab instead of at the jailhouse.
Right.
Because some people are like, well, why wasn't rehab offered to her? Because this was number 4.
Right. And what is the other place that I saw that the lawyer said she went to for 48 hours called Right Turn? And they were saying that this was more like a jail facility rehab. And she went there for 48 hours so that she could get a feel of what it would be like before going to this really like resort like rehab. What is that?
Scared Straight for grown-ups, I'm guessing. I don't even know why this place exists. Or maybe it's a Scared Straight for kids, and she took her 70-year-old behind her elderly senior citizen geriatric self up there thinking that was going to make a difference. The way I would want to interpret it as a judge is, okay, so was this trying to prep you on like your upcoming circumstances, or I don't know how to fight, or what the food's going to taste like? Like, what is
how to fight?
Girl, you would have been better off spending that time taking a jiu-jitsu class. That's crazy.
Yeah. I was like, what is that? I had never even heard of that before. I should look that up. Right Turn. Like,
yeah, it was Right Turn, which I really think it's probably for children, because children are the ones that need Right Turn. Like, it would make sense that you'd have a company like that. You bring children, you bring teens, you bring maybe even drug addicts with like a first time offense, be like, hey, we got to get you clean, babe, or else this is where you're going to be, in a jail cell. But a 70-year-old woman in a 613, what were you doing in there, girl? And she stayed there for 48 hours. I don't know. Maybe that was her way of being like, well, judge, she's already done 2 days plus that one day that she cussed everybody out at the jailhouse. Let her lose. Credit.
Now, what was the judge saying today? The judge didn't seem like they were going for any of that, like any of it. Like, the judge I read even was saying like, well, I feel like Karen learned how to work the system back in 2011. So tell us a little bit about how the judge was feeling today.
So the judge felt that it was high time that she actually suffer consequences, because it appeared she hadn't learned from the previous ones. So the judge, he absolutely, as We Go Podcast read her for filth by reading back a summary of the body cam footage in all of its glory. The cuss words, pages, the cuss words, the condescending the condescending insults,
Right.
all of that. And mind you, Karen, up until the end, held that she wasn't drunk. She said she wasn't drunk. It was grief and antidepressants. Either way, it looks like you're a jerk. And what the judge was saying is all of those comments say, not you haven't learned your lesson. And this is not a time for a second chance because you had a second one and you've had a third one. And so you gonna learn today.
They're also asking, Tori is asking on Facebook, so would she go to prison or jail? Like, is she going to be in the county jail or is she going to prison?
County jail. And yes, this is my BAPS wig for people who've asked. I usually only pull it out for my man when we're doing a little role play. Again, too much of my business being told. But so generally the rule is this. If the sentence is 1 year or less, the actual time to be served is 1 year or less, then you do it at county. Anything longer, you go to prison. Now, I know prison sounds scarier, but in reality, every client I've ever heard would prefer prison over jail. Here's why.
Agreed.
Jail has no amenities because you're supposed to be in and out. That's for people supposed to be there less than 30 days and get to going, waiting for trial, that kind of thing. Prison is for people who are living there. So prison is where you get your GED classes. It's where you get the better type of commissary, where, you may get hot meals brought in from food vendors multiple times a week. It's where you can do any type of cool class, a cooking class, a this, or that, and the third. Jail, they don't have anything because jail is funded by the county. Generally, the prisons are often private prisons, not always, but they are incentivized by having lower recidivism rates. So they offer far more services. I have had clients who said, okay, well, if I'm going to take this plea, can I do it at a prison and not the jail?
Yeah, because listen, I'm from Jersey. We know it's called the Green Monster. That is Essex County Jail, and you do not want to be there for a year. You have people coming in and out. They're sick. They're going through withdrawal. They're drunk. Like all types of stuff coming through there. Like that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, really. So
yeah, Donatella is saying in Montgomery County, you can serve up to 18 months in county. And I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a choice at this point. Like usually, if you're going to get a choice, it's something negotiated in your plea deal. Since there is no plea deal here, she gonna have to be up in the she gonna be in the jailhouse. And most jails don't even allow. A lot of jails don't allow touch visits. They'll allow her to get a little iPad. She gonna have to do like this to Ray. I'm sorry, Ray.
And they said she yelled out to him when they read the sentence, and then they took her today, guys. In case you didn't know, she was taken into custody today with the 613 blonde wig on, honey, that she had today. And we were saying we hope she had her braids done underneath it and it wasn't down, child, because I don't know. She definitely ain't got no wig glue remover with her. So I don't know, but let me ask you this. Do you feel like she's actually going to do the full year in jail? Do you think it's just going to be 6 or 9 months, or do you really think
no way, Jose. I say no way, Jose. And that's because most counties, not all, but most counties deal with some form of overcrowding, but also they offer good time. So I looked up Maryland. In Maryland, you're allowed to receive up to 30 days of good time per month. So, in other words, you could cut your time by half, potentially. So if she was a really good girl, even though it's a 1 year, if she got 30 days each month, that would cut her time in half.
Okay.
But 6 months is still a long time.
It is.
That's a long time for someone like Karen. So, and what I think is that remember, the prosecutors were only
You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's just for me.
So I don't know. But I feel like, Vanessa, I feel like that you and I were like freaked out. It was freaked out like a year in jail. What?
Yeah.
Did I lose you again? Hold on. I'm gonna switch to my hotspot.
Okay.
If that was my Wi-Fi cut up. Hold on. Give me a second. I think I'm good. I should be good now. Hold on. No, I should be good. Okay. Can you?
Okay. Not yet. It's still breaking up a little bit. She's frozen, guys. We'll get her back in a second, hopefully.
Okay.
And are you back?
Switch it over. It should be better.
Okay. You're still frozen on the screen, but we can hear you good. Can you repeat what you were saying about the time cut in half, and after that you kind of cut out? I think we done lost her again, guys. Not your service is nervous. Hopefully we get her back soon. And just some other points while we're trying to get her back, guys. There were no cameras there. You know, Wego Podcast was on the ground. I was texting her. She said there were no Bravo cameras there. So it's only going to be phone footage that we get. I think let's see if we can get her back up here.
Should be back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I changed my Wi-Fi. My apologies.
Okay. So what were you saying you were getting cut out about the...
Oh, which part? What did it sound like I was talking about?
The 60 days you were saying that... I forgot.
Oh, the time. Okay, I was saying that the time in that county, I looked up Maryland, and that basically for every 30 days you serve, you can get up to 30 days of good credit. In other words, she could do half of the time, but that's still a lot of time for someone like Karen, who's never, ever, ever been to jail prior to this.
And you were also talking about the prosecutor was only asking for her to do 6 months, and she got a full year.
Oh, yes. So I think that perhaps the judge, knowing that in that county you get credit in that way, the judge was like, no, I know you're going for 6 months. I want her to see 6 months. That may have been why he doubled it, knowing that his county basically cuts the time in half of actual service.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. It was just a lot to process today.
It was. And you also have to understand too that, okay, when you're dealing with county judges, they really depend heavily on donations from local entities to win the bench. Well, among the other people that submitted, like Karen's family, and there was like a church, her pastor submitted letters on her behalf. Baby Mad sent a letter against her. Mothers Against Drunk Drivers sent a letter opposing any light sentence, opposing her getting the 3-year suspended sentence. They were not playing around with her. And those kind of judges, they really appeal and consider entities like MAD, because I guarantee you every year, MAD or MAD's governing related entity donates to their run for judge.
Wow. Wow. And Ashley was asking, what did she yell out? After she was sentenced, she yelled out to Ray, and she said to Ray, I love you. You're going to be all right. God's got you. So that's what she yelled out before, being taken into custody.
Oh, Ray was supposed to. I also have to say, like, we live in the age of Uber. So it's so much less excusable, including she was having dinner with a homegirl at a restaurant or whatever. So it was like, yes, hit that like, guys, hit that like.
Yes.
She was having dinner with a homegirl. Like, I bet I would be shocked if her friend wasn't like, Karen, you sure you want to drive home? You don't want to call an Uber. You don't want, unless she was toasted as well. But even then, girl, you should have Uber on speed dial. And I said in my earlier live, like immediately after this happened, an additional thing I would advise my client to do. Okay. Sidebar story time related though, is one time I dated this guy who murdered like 2 people by accident.
Oh my God.
And a little bit. He was, I'm not going to say his name, but you can Google
How
him.
do you murder by accident? Whole nother story.
Yeah. He was leaving a strip club, and had been drinking. He was on a highway in Dallas where I lived at the time. And he thought he hit, according to him, according to him, he was not drinking. He was just leaving the strip club at 2 a.m. And there was a wreck on the highway, and he thought he hit debris. He hit whatever he hit, and then he kept driving. It was this great little drop top. He used to let me drive. That was tampering with evidence, maybe. Anyway, he thought it was debris. It wasn't. It was 2 human beings and a third person who had pulled over to help with the wreck. So he killed 2 people and made another person legless. They're paraplegic in a wheelchair for life. And when he asked me on a date, I met him like out at like a day party or whatever. And I kept saying, gosh, you look so familiar. But I had just moved home from college. I was like, you look so familiar. And he was like, and I was like, where'd you go to college? He was like, I went out of state. He was very terse. No, I said, where'd you go to high school? He was like, I went out of state. He's like, where'd you go to college? And he said, and I was like, maybe we have some mutual friends or something. Cause literally I just moved home like a week or two, had just graduated college. And I couldn't place it. And so I gave him my number. He wasn't really that cute, but I gave him my number. I hope he's not watching this. You were handsome. You weren't my type. I go home. I go take a nap. I go to sleep or whatever. In the middle of my sleep, I lay down. I was like, oh my God, I know where I knew him from. And I texted him. I was like, I know exactly where I knew you from. And you knew where I knew you from. He was like, where is that? I was like, the news. You murdered someone. He was like, I didn't murder them. I'm accused with vehicular manslaughter. So anyway, my point was, I still went on a date with him because I was poor and he was going to take me to Red Lobster. And on the way back, it got dark. And so he would not drive per his lawyer's instructions. He would not drive in the dark. Instead, he had me drive, which was how I got to drive my first drop top Mercedes Benz. And I've never been the same since. So thank you to you. He has since served. He was given 7 years. He's very remorseful, and he does public speaking. I wish the best to him.
Wow. So he wasn't found to have been drinking?
I don't know.
For vision, he can't drive at
Well,
night?
he got 7 years, so he did something. He got 12 years, but he served 7.
Wow.
They stacked it. He got 7 years plus 4 years when he knocked that guy's legs off. Then they just put it on top of each other, made it 12. And then he got probation after 7. Bless his heart.
Yeah. And I agree, Chapel. We definitely need a book because this lady got more stories. She's the OMG. We definitely need a book. More stories than I can count.
We call them sidebars on my channel. So if you've never checked out my channel, Girl Is That Legal, definitely check it out. I call them sidebar. I'll be releasing another one this week. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that story. Yeah. Gosh, he was quite a gentleman.
And let me ask you about Karen as well. I'm assuming, right, if it hasn't been already, her license is suspended, right? It should be, right?
Them people better. Now, I'll start with speaking by Texas. In Texas, I know that when you just get charged with a DUI, not even found guilty, charged, they automatically suspend your license for 6 months. How do I know? I once parked my car with a valet, my drop top, Beamer, with a valet who then totaled it by having an air quote seizure when he was really on drugs. And they refused to pay for it because they were like, oh, there's an exception under the law for medical emergencies. Well, I pulled his record, did a background check, and found he had a DUI. Therefore, his license had been suspended and he had no business parking my car in the first place. So usually it's an automatic thing is what I'm saying. But I did not hear mention of that, but in the reports so far, but that might be because our girl ain't driving nowhere. They took her into custody. You see what I'm saying? Right. They took her back there. So she's not driving. But what I do anticipate is part of her probation conditions will absolutely involve driving. So it could be that that it's either suspended. Oh, but even when you have, many people don't realize this. Even when you have a suspended license, you can still get what's called an occupational driver's license, which is basically like a conditional license to go back and forth to essential places. If you have kids, grocery store, pick your kids up from school. In her case, she takes care of Ray. It would be to take Ray back and forth to his appointments, possibly to church. I don't know if she loves the Lord anymore. Well, she did tell him God got him. So yeah. And then right. And it would be to get yourself to work. So if she's got tapings, it would be to do those things. So I just wanted to be clear that yes, even with a suspended license, she would be able to do a little bit, but I can guarantee part of her probation will be to suspend that bad boy.
Okay. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
guys. Like I said, I was definitely shocked, but I wasn't shocked. I expected it. I didn't expect it to be, sentenced to 2 years with doing one. And it sounds like, she may be able to get out in, 6 months. We'll see what happens. But it also said that she has, I think, 30 days to appeal?
Yes, yes. And someone in the chat was saying her license was suspended for 1 year. That makes perfect sense. And then even if it's suspended now, more than likely during the 1 year of her suspended sentence, or whatever, when she gets back and does probation, it will be suspended as well. So
Yeah,
you
but I saw when they said what I was reading was she was sentenced to 2 years with 1 year suspended. But I thought that's what you were saying as far as like the probation piece of it. Is that what it meant, that it was 1 year suspended? That meant the license?
No, that's not pertaining to. I mean, let me say this: it could be the license, but I think it's an automatic thing in Maryland. Like how I said, I know in Texas it's 6 months automatic suspension. In Maryland, there's likely a period of suspension as well that she's going to deal with. I just don't believe that it's going to start calculating until after she gets released, unless it was used in this last year while she was waiting trial. Someone's saying in the chat that like she had a driver to all of her show appearances. I guarantee the show did that. So the show,
Yeah, she was trying to
must
save
do that.
face at that point, right? Like she was
Right.
trying
But you
to
notice
prepare herself for this
what
trial.
you notice the judge, her lawyer who was presenting all the mitigating circumstances, if she truly hired a driver and did that, which I would have advised my client, hey, you should probably hire, I would say 5 o'clock or after dark, whenever it's dark or after, you may never drive. Just like my homeboy who kind of murdered people a little bit. No driving. And then I would submit the invoices to the company that I have on retainer to drive me. And I want it to show. They took me to the Kroger. They took me to get my nails did. Like I'm not playing around.
Right.
And because that's what you have to do. You either punish yourself real hard or you get punished like the judge did here.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was wondering, if she appealed, what would she even appeal on? Like, what would be the angle at this point? Because it did not go well today at all. I was like, you fired one lawyer team to hire another one that didn't do much better. Like, there's no DUI experts in Maryland.
She literally had the best of the best. She had the best of the best. So I looked up her attorneys that she's had. They really were the best of the best. I don't know what her logic was, unless maybe she says, oh, they should have advised me to take the deal. But they probably did. Do you see the grand dame saying, all right, I'll take this deal that mandates 60 days? People at that level ain't going to take nothing. That's why she took all them probation deals real quick, fast, in a hurry. But the state couldn't offer her probation for a fourth one. That's not fair to the community.
Right.
Most people would say after your second one, you shouldn't get. I know in Texas, your third is considered a felony. Yeah, your third is considered a felony. Yes. Wow. And it is true. I want to click. Hey, Tia. I see Tia in the chat. She says, per the judge's papers, she has 5 years probation after she gets out and can't drive for 1 year after she's released. Okay. That makes perfect sense. She really ain't got nowhere to go. You got nowhere of significance. She needs to stay home with Ray. They can play cards or something. Yeah, well, you all know Uncle Daddy Andy is going to have her back on the show. This is going to be a part of the storyline when she does return. We'll see. Cameras are already up filming for the next season, but they weren't there at the courthouse today, which was a bit shocking to me, but they were already getting ready to film. Who's Cameron? Not Bravo. Bravo's cameras weren't there today. Oh, gotcha. Oh, this is a great comment in the chat. Donatella Mitnick, thank you so much for adding, says, I wouldn't recommend that she appeals because in Maryland, the sentence can not only decrease, they can increase it. Woo! Don't try it, girl. Just do your time. Do your time, girl. Do your time. Right. Wow. Well, I made the comment, she can also ask for reconsideration from the judge. I always think that that's like a little silly and goofy. to do that, because when you ask for reconsideration, the same judge that sentenced you is who you're asking to reconsider their sentence. So maybe not. Maybe that's a little
No.
silly. But also, I was saying, if you're going to do that, I would not do that until she's been there long enough to have records to show that she's making major steps. So, for example, given that the state said they wanted, no. Given that the initial offer was 60 days, after the 30th day or so, I may submit to the judge reconsideration with paperwork that says, hey, she's doing great there. She's participating in the programs. She goes to AA every single time that it's offered. We ask that you reconsider and release her upon 60 days. Remember, 60 days was the initial offer. Also, she's accruing good time, blah, 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 blah.
She should have hired you. She should have. I told you.
And I will tell y'all, so I do have a lot of celebrities that will come to me privately. All consultations with me are private. You can go to SimoneRedwine.com to schedule and book there. But like, I absolutely will in that background, because part of what I do is I construct legal teams for celebrities and non-celebrities. And a lot of times, part of the challenge is when you're a celeb, you're told to go to the person that costs the most. And a lot of times that person is no longer in touch, both with the jury and with the judge. We're talking people, I know in Diddy's case, those lawyers are $5,000 an hour. In Karen's case, her lawyer is probably $1,000 an hour. And they're older. You know, they have certain repertoires with the judge because they're older. So whatever made somebody think, okay, she's going to go to this 48-hour scared straight program for, you know, wayward teens, that might persuade a judge for a 70-year-old for a 70-year-old woman who doesn't think she's got a drinking problem. You know, I don't know about that one now, buddy.
Yeah. And that's what I said about her lawyer when the lawyer was on the episode. I said, you can look at a person and tell that's supposed to be a lawyer. There's only two type of lawyers that I know to deal with. Is one that is high stature, well known, that, you know, high profile, win a lot of cases, or it's the one that knows the judges, knows the lawyers, you know, knows the prosecutors, and can help get you off. Those are only two.
Right. And you want that diversity of thought, right? So that's how come, like on Diddy's case, they've got multiple lawyers. Now, Diddy I did a segment on my channel. You can check it out on Girl, Is That Legal on YouTube. But I talked about so Diddy had no Black people on his legal team, right? So then he adds this attorney, Anthony Rico was his name. Anthony Rico is also a criminal law professor at Fordham University in New York. He is also from Harlem. Like, he was like, yeah, I can definitely help. And I can help you craft the story. Well, let me tell you something. Head honcho, Mark Agnifilio, who's that, I probably mispronounced it, but that's Diddy's top lawyer, and him weren't getting along because Mark wanted to file a motion that said he's being mistreated by the legal system because he is a Black man. Let me tell you something. That motion was signed onto by every single lawyer in the legal team except the Black man, except Anthony Rico. And what does he do right after that? Filed to withdraw as counsel and gave the reason is I can no longer in good conscience, is basically what he said. Continue to work on this and be consistent with the professional, legal, and ethical obligations that I have under New York law.
Wow. Listen. It's a lot to take in today, y'all. This whole thing blew my mind. Like my wig was sitting back like Karen's after this conviction today. But, you know, thank you for taking the time with me. Woo! And before we get out of here, I have to ask you, Attorney Symone. I was scrolling through my Instagram and I saw our good girl Jennifer from Basketball Wives and her good old husband Christian Walden Gold. And they tagged you in the story calling you the cat lady attorney. I don't know where they get that from, but they tagged you and they were saying that they were celebrating a win. What was that about?
Well, if you tune into my channel tonight at 8 Central, 6 Pacific, and then I guess it'll be 9 Eastern, I'm going to tell you all about the new lawsuit accusing Christian Gold of scamming. So maybe the win is that he's dodging service. He has been dodging service. They're trying to serve him. So basically, a bunch of his victims have gotten together and officially sued him for over 6 figures.
Mm.
So I think they're excited about dodging service. But it's okay because, as we all saw with the Cassie lawsuit, it all starts in civil court. Civil fraud first. You give enough evidence to the feds and the other entities that continue to investigate him. And from there, we go, oh, that reminds me, I had to call this other entity that he's scamming. I just got a letter from. Oh, yeah. Because now he started scamming corporations, allegedly. So it's one thing when you scam, little hardworking Black people. But when you start scamming corporations, oh, order in the court. Chat.
Wow.
So at 8 o'clock tonight, we will be going over the new lawsuit filed against Christian Gold for scamming.
Child, I thought he got off probation or something, the way he was in there cheersing and sipping champagne. I thought he was
He
off
might be off right now, but I'm gonna tell you, I know he was trying to spend more time in California. He might be off on that, but he's on a civil case. He's on a civil lawsuit. So that's what we're excited about, because that's all these people have wanted is their payment and their monies. Run them, they coin.
Well, I'll be seated to learn more, because I sent it to her. Y'all know I screened. I
sure did.
Recorded. I sent it to her. I said, what they talking about?
Oh yeah, then I guess I have to screen record when I break down this little lawsuit where they're evading service. But they did. They were that same day, the process server went to serve them, and apparently they were dodging service. So I think they were celebrating missing service. But I love that, and I appreciate that screenshot, because now we'll get to I'm not on that case. Well, I'm assisting. I'm not on the case. We'll say that I am not officially on that case because I got my own personal problems. But what happens is their lawyer can then take those kinds of things and say, Your Honor, he's avoiding service. We would like to do alternative service. I'm sure Basketball Wives will help us service.
Ooh, and they should be back any minute now. They're filming. We're filming on Basketball Wives.
Yeah.
So they should be back.
Yes. Oh, also, I'll say, if anyone else was a victim of Christian Gold and you would like to join in the lawsuit, I'll have details on how to do so tonight.
I can't wait. I will be seated. I will be in the comments with my little teacup, sipping and learning. Well, again, I always say this is my favorite lawyer, y'all. And I'll say it again. I don't care what I'm on trial for. It could be murder. I'm calling Attorney Symone Redwine. So I appreciate you. Whenever I reach out to you, you don't hesitate. You're always here for me.
Absolutely.
And you showed up in this 613 blonde wig, and I hit the floor.
Oh yeah, y'all. Some people are like, what's up with the wig? The wig, this is in honor of Karen and her 613. That they are going to be taking from her. Vanessa, I need you to help. You be on it. I need you to help me locate whatever her mugshot's going to look like for prison, because I don't think
I'm waiting for it.
We want to see the cornrows.
I'm on it, and I'm waiting for it, because I'm like, I said, if she glued that thing down, it's going to be dirty with lint. All is stuck around. She ain't got no glue remover. I really don't think she thought she was going to jail today. That if she did get sentenced, that they would give her time before she had to turn herself in. So I'm just praying that those braids were tight and ready under there, that she cut it into a nice little bob, something like your 613 wig you got on here or something. I don't know.
This is literally my Babs wig. So I was Babs I had a Babs birthday party where I made everybody dress up like Babs, and then we took like a little party bus and we went to like little hood spots. Nobody got shot or anything, but there was burglar bars on the door, and we had a good old time. So yes, this is my Babs wig for those asking, and this is this is because today I'm Attorney Symone and I'm Karen's 613 wig.
Yes, that was in honor of Karen, because y'all won't be seeing that for a little while now. So again, thank you for dropping by. I will be on your channel. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. My name is Vanessa with Reality Recap. Attorney Symone Redwine with Girl Is That Legal is her YouTube channel. Make sure you go like, share, and subscribe over there too. And she will, like she said, be on later tonight to go over what's happening with Jennifer Williams' husband, Christian Walden Gold.
Absolutely.
And I will be back tomorrow recapping shows that I didn't even get to recap today because I was stuck on this case. So I'll be recapping tomorrow, 11 Hip Hop Atlanta, as well as last night's episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. And like I always say, reality TV stars are humans too. Let's not forget that. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Thank you, Attorney Symone.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. You take care, girl. Bye-bye.
Bye.